Thanks very much, Laura. I think we're going to move on to our next speaker, who is Dr. Wardah Rajab-Gyagenda. She's from Uganda, and she does research on both East African immigrants in Atlanta and Muslim youth and leaders in Uganda related to stigma. And she's going to tell us a little bit about, I think, some similarities and differences between these two populations.
Good afternoon, everybody. Greetings from Uganda. I really just want to thank Howard University and the organizers of today's events. I'm truly, truly honored to be here, specifically because I'm a Ugandan, I'm an American, I'm a Ugandan American. What happens in Uganda is very important to me as much as it is important to me what happens in the United States. My brother is HIV positive. He lives in Uganda. My friends and my colleagues, African immigrants, are HIV positive and they live in the United States. They're all important to me. And so today is extremely, very personal. So I just wanted to see, in 2008, I did some stuff in the United States in Metro Atlanta, and I go to Uganda this year, and I just wanted to find out, particularly what do people of my denomination, the religious people who are Muslims, and the young people, what are they thinking about the whole notion of HIV as it relates to stigma? And here I have very limited time. I'm going to go to the gist. I'd prepared all these wonderful slides to tell you a little bit about Uganda. I have this beautiful citation here that I thought is all about what's going on today in this room and in the world. Then I have these wonderful slides telling you my background information, HIV prevalence in Uganda. I come from Uganda, you know where Uganda is, and a lot of you who know about HIV and AIDS, Uganda rings a bell, and stigma, Uganda still sticks out. So my background, I just wanted to let you know, see the map of Uganda, very small country the size of Oregon, with so many things that happens there. The HIV prevalence in Uganda is not very beautiful. It has increased from 6.4 to 7.3. Why? So many reasons we cannot tell for sure, but I'm 100% sure two things is one of them. Decrease in HIV prevention education because of the assumption that almost 3 decades later, we know what is going on with HIV. But it's a shame that almost 3 decades later, we are still here discussing about HIV/AIDS stigma. Why? That's a problem to me. So stigma, according to my findings, exists. In 2008, it existed in the United States among the African immigrant population. In 2012, it still exists in Uganda very heavily, and in my community here in the United States of America, extremely heavy. So what do we have to do about it? I started looking. Of course, I'm a researcher. I love research. I dug up, found out most information, and to be very honest with you, researchers are like journalists. We like something fresh, something new, something that pops out. And after collecting all my information from the US setting, from the Ugandan setting, I went and dug into the literature to find out something that is new. There was nothing new, really. There's really nothing new. The information is the same. People have HIV and AIDS. Probably something new are the ARVs, that the people in Uganda are sort of getting, sort of not getting because of corruption and stuff like that, and you really don't know who it reaches, who actually accesses those services. So there's pretty much nothing new. And I'm thinking, are we just like stationed in one place? Can we move forward? Are we mark timing here? What are we doing? What am I doing to my brother? What am I doing? Because I convinced my mother. I told her HIV and AIDS is no longer a death sentence. I assured her, because she's a Muslim, very good Muslim woman, that my brother will only die if God says so. Mark the keyword, God. And of course, she went into prayers. However, we cannot discuss about my brother with other members of the family. During the month of Ramadan, my brother is having a hard time to say he cannot fast because, for those of you who know what month of Ramadan is. And we are having a hard time to explain why this man, this old man, 40 years and above, cannot fast. In Uganda, the life expectancy is, because he's almost approaching the tail end, so that's really old. So I'm having a hard time with this. I'm like, where are we going? Can I find something new, something fresh, something exciting? And I come across what I call a tree of hope. This tree, literally, we have, in Uganda, we have teacher training colleges specifically to train teachers who are going to teach students standalone. And I come across this tree. On one side of the tree, it says the teacher is a timekeeper. On the other side, it says aid skills, whether young or old. And I moved to this other side of the tree. It said stigma and discrimination stops with you. I froze for a second. And I'm thinking, this is something new. This is something fresh. But she is just standing. The tree is just standing there. That's the best she can say. But who is she talking to? Who is she reaching out to? For those of you who come from developing countries, you know how important government interventions are. So these little bit community actions are not enough. But why is it a tree of hope? Because something is beginning to take foot. And of course, I was telling you after all that, the negative lessons that I learned from that, the issue of complacency and ignorance, the things that still exist that to me is still not exciting. And I come to my biggest tree of hope. And I'm going to go to that slide. Of course, all these are education at the cultural level, at the faith level, at the community level, things that were already. At the Islamic University in Uganda, where I work as the Director for Research, Publications, and Innovations, my biggest tree of hope exists. And that is the activities that's going on among the youth, the young people, the leaders of tomorrow. What are these children doing? In 2009, these children organized themselves and decided to start a club, the Islamic University Peer Educators Club. I tried to get some magazines to come and share with you, but this is Uganda. You can only do so much. So the best I can do is sort of show it to you. I don't know if most of you can see it. It says two things that I really liked about it. And of course, you know, me being who I am, for those of you who know me, it did not take me long to say I'm here to help. I would like to work with you. You want to pass it around? Okay, just before you do that, two things. It said bachelor's degree plus HIV and AIDS is equal to frustration. Someone was talking about workforce discrimination this morning. The magazine also said, from the shadow to the limelight. That was my catchphrase right there. The students of that university, the Islamic University in Uganda, has some professors who are non-Muslims, and it has some students who are non-Muslims. But the majority of them are Muslims. And these children, during my focus group discussion, actually made me realize certain things. I went to an all-Christian school, by the way, and the notion that among people of faith, that do unto others what you like to be done to you, and if you do good to my servant, you're actually doing good to me. I first learned that in the Bible. This year I learned it in the Quran, and it is these children. And they're telling me, why should we be looked at differently? The Quran says so. The Quran, according to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, says that we should actually be visiting the sick. We should take care of the sick irrespective of the disease. If I am HIV positive, who are you to judge me? So they start getting empowered, and this wonderful gentleman, Dr. Haruna Chigongo, decided, I'll be your patron. We will do something together. And I call it a movement. A small movement started, and these children have done something wonderful. In this magazine, I would like to show you something. This young man truly, truly touched my heart. Not only did he write about himself, for those of you who have the book, turn to page 19, he has his picture in the magazine. And this is what he's saying. He starts talking about his challenges from when he was living with HIV with his mother, how he moved from school to school and did not have hope until he reaches the Islamic University in Uganda. But even then, with the existence of IUPEC, he has changed rooms twice. But when did we start talking like that? When did the so-called intellectuals of Uganda start talking like that? When did the leaders of tomorrow, our children, start talking like that? That is what I thought I'll share with this room, that there is hope after all, that there's a movement after all. And if we tapped into this, if we tapped into this energy, then I can truly tell my mother that my brother will only die if God wills so. So after all that, of course, you know, I'm still an academician. I have to come up with recommendations and conclusions. So I have my conclusions. And truly, there seems to be sporadic and ad hoc programs that addresses stigma, both in the United States among African immigrant communities and in my other country, Uganda. And most of these programs, if any, are really not initiated by the government. Of course, I was, you know, politically correct by saying some of them are initiated by the government. It's a nice thing to do things like that. But for those of you who can read, you actually know what I mean, you know? But what do I recommend? Again, nothing new, but this is what we need to keep singing to be able to sink in the heads and ears of an advocate who can actually take it forward, who can make things moving. And I also just wanted to share with you these two quotations from UN AIDS and the Civil Society Coalition on Human Rights. HIV and AIDS are persistently stigmatized by our leaders, by the people of the book. Those are the people of faith. We continuously, unfortunately, do that, although we know it's wrong to do that. And UNAIDS is telling us that if we invest and stop discrimination, we are actually going to lead to the tree of hope and make the world a better place. I just wanted to prove that I did my work to you. Asanteni. Thank you so much, and this is my business card, just in case any one of you wants to get in touch with me.
Thank you.